Hey guys, Mick here. In this video we're going to talk a little bit about fitness and gym training with relationship to mountain biking. Now we get a lot of questions on the group and a lot of questions in person about the appropriate gym routines to do to improve your mountain biking. Now there's a lot of people out there that will sort of really push mountain bike specific training programs. And the reality is, for most people, that's probably not really necessary. So when you think about your average person, then what you're looking for out of your fitness is overall fitness, overall health, the ability for your body to do the things you want to do, and you're looking for a fairly balanced fitness. And we'll talk about the different aspects of it in a minute. Now, mountain biking can be fairly specific. You're using a limited amount of muscle groups in a limited range of movement. So while it's more physically in the upper body and so forth, if you're riding downhill and that, than say road riding might be, it still isn't necessarily the greatest all-round balanced fitness routine. So targeting your training at improving mountain bike specific things is going to often end up with other weaknesses and issues within your general fitness. So from our point of view, the best thing you're going to be doing is your first level of fitness training is all about maintaining balanced fitness across all the different aspects of your body. Once you've done that, if you've been training for a while and you're already there, then that's when you might want to sort of say, hey, look, I want to focus this a little bit more on mountain bike specific sort of training. And I want to particularly improve this aspect of my riding. Now this becomes more significant if you're racing and you're actually seriously competitive and your general base fitness is really good and all the other aspects are really even and you don't have weaknesses in the other areas, then that's when you might be looking at saying, I want to start moving to more mountain bike specific. And that's where, you can start to look at routines that are going to address your mountain biking. The final stage, I guess, is if you're racing at a really serious level, when you're starting to play with seasonal training plans and really looking at maximizing your performance. The reality is that's a pretty small percentage of the population. Now you may well be in that group and that's fine, and that's where a coach and fitness instructor that has a good understanding of mountain biking and can link your strength conditioning into your weight training and which events you're doing and when you're going to do them and your seasonal plans, that's kind of useful. But overall, 90% of people don't need to go to that level. So what makes up fitness? From my perspective, we'll break it down into a few categories. You've got your cardio fitness, you've got endurance, you've got strength, you've got power, you've got balance, you've got coordination, and you've got flexibility. And that really covers the overall realm of what's involved in being a fit, balanced, athletic body. So we'll have a little bit of a talk about each one of those. And then what we'll start to do is the other videos that we do, we'll go on and explore the different areas and start to provide routines and stuff that will work for you in that. But overall, this level of general fitness, this isn't mountain bike specific. So you don't need a mountain bike coach as such. Somebody with a good understanding of general fitness and conditioning is going to help you. There's heaps of stuff out there. There's lots and lots of information. We'll be providing some as well, but it's not exhaustive. And a lot of this depends on what sort of equipment you've got and what sort of things you like to do as well. You do need to be aware that sometimes you need to do the things you don't like to do. You'll see lots of people wandering around that are really, really imbalanced because they love, for instance, doing bench press and they'll have these massive chest and biceps and tiny little legs. That's not really necessarily a balanced physique. So, you are going to have to do exercise that you don't necessarily want to do, but you're really looking at whole body and whole system sort of exercises. So the first thing we're going to look at is your cardio fitness. So cardio is basically the ability of the body to deliver oxygen to the muscles as they need them. So it's your ability to breathe under load and not get out of breath when you're exercising at a higher level. Now, cardio fitness is one of the quickest things to gain. When you train for it, you'll get good gains, but it's also something that you lose more quickly. Your riding is going to be a great point for your cardio fitness. Anything that's doing sort of longer term, high intensity sort of workouts. So when you look at your classic machine stuff, you've got all your rowing machines and bikes and treadmills, as well as running and riding and that sort of thing. Now, if you're doing a fair bit of riding and you're able to get out and spend time on the bike, then you probably don't need to be reproducing too much of that in the gym. Obviously, if you're in a lockdown situation where a lot of us are at the moment, or it's really cold or raining outside, you might want to reproduce some of the cardio indoors. But for me, on the amount of time that we've got available to train, I'd always prefer, if I'm going to do cardio stuff, I'm going to run and ride bikes. I'd much rather go outside and ride my bike than sit on a training bike in the gym. So my gym time is, I find, much better spent working on other aspects that I'm not getting when I'm riding the bike. So yeah, so generally time on the bike is classic for that. It's great. Walking, running. If you're going to be indoors, then you've got all the indoor trainers, rowing machines, treadmills, that sort of thing. Personally, I really like the rowing machine because it's a fairly balanced all body thing, and it's quite intense from a cardio point of view. I'm not a massive fan of sitting on a spin bike because it's kind of exactly the same as what I get on a normal bike. In fact, it's a bit less because you don't get as much of the upper body strength. So you tend to sit there and push, and it's a limited range of muscles and a limited range of movement, and it's the same workout that you're getting on a bike. So my preference is not to do too much of that. But obviously, if you're not getting any bike time, then it could be good to reproduce that in the gym. High intensity exercise, or I think they're calling it HIIT now as an acronym, is taken a big popularity in a lot of the gyms where they're really pushing this as a new fad thing. The reality is it's been around for ages. If you're doing training in a gym, be it weights or whatever you're doing, and you're working at a high intensity, it's going to be increasing your cardio fitness. So yeah, there's nothing new and unique to it. You can do things like aerobics classes and that as well. They're very much designed around that cardio sort of workout. So lots of opportunities to do stuff, but you don't necessarily need to be reproducing what you're doing on a bike inside if you're doing a reasonable amount of bike time. So the next aspect of fitness we're going to talk about is endurance. And by this I kind of mean muscle endurance. So that's the ability of your muscles to do the same work over and over and over again. Now, this is obviously really important if you want to go and do long rides. So once again, if you're preparing for endurance on the bike, then the bike is a great way to do it, to do long rides on the bike. This might be something where you need to do some indoor training if you're not doing not able to do the mileage you want on the bike for weather conditions or restrictions or whatever it is, then you might want to do a bit inside. But endurance is typically that higher repetition, more exercise, and just keeping going with it. So you build up your body's ability to keep doing the same thing. So swimming's a classic example of that. If you want to swim distance, you need to get your muscles used to being able to keep working for a continuous period of time. So within the gym, it's a hard thing to train for. You can do exercises that are kind of imitating what you're doing in your actual sport, but you're probably better off to be generating the endurance in your sport rather than trying to reproduce it in the gym, and work on some of the other aspects within a gym-based environment. So now we're going to talk about strength. Strength is basically your ability to lift heavy things. Having a strong body is great. Strong body, strong bones, good muscles, and being able to lift things, to be able to do the things you need in day-to-day life. It's something that you want to maintain as an overall fitness and maintain as long as you can as you start to get older and things like that, so that you can be more independent. Now, the easiest way to develop strength is to lift stuff. So this comes into your basic weight routines. There's a gazillion different ways you can do things, starting with body weight and no equipment, and working through to using all sorts of fancy equipment that's out there. Now, the reality is you're probably better off to work on the bigger compound exercises, so exercises that use multiple parts of your body, rather than breaking everything down into individual muscle groups, because you really need to be developing the coordination, which we'll talk about a bit later, but also all the control strength and so forth. And that's what makes your strength more functional. So there's been a lot of focus now on functional training, and there's a lot of gyms that really focus on that. That tends to be how we run most of our strength programs. So we tend to work on exercises that work across multiple muscles and across multiple aspects of the body. And we'll put some of this stuff in some later videos in actual routines, but that's kind of the definition of where strength is. Okay, the next aspect that's a little bit different to strength is power. Now, power is more your ability to lift a heavy load, but to do it quickly, to move things fast, to get that explosion. So when you look at riding a bike, for instance, the stronger you are, the bigger the gear you're going to be able to push. The more powerful you are, the faster you're going to be able to put that load down, and the faster you're going to be able to accelerate. So power is also useful. So as you're training your strength, there's a few different variations where you can move your focus a bit more to power and a bit more to strength. And power is probably something that you're looking at a bit more focused training down the track as you're getting a little bit more experienced and you're trying to train more for specific things. In your general training, probably not doing a lot of focus on power. A lot of the training that people will start with is to do more with the cardio, the endurance, and the strength. Next thing we're going to talk about is balance. And we can link probably balance and coordination. So this is something that's really important for people as they're getting older in their general training, but it's also important for general activity as well. The better your level of balance and coordination, the more capable you are to do a complex task. So if you apply it to something like mountain biking, then you're less likely to fall off at slow speed or in technical terrain. You've got more ability to be able to brake and, as you're coming into a corner, pedal more quickly. There's all these little activities that you want to coordinate, even down to being able to use different muscle groups, so that as you're coming into the corner, the ability to move your body one way, turn the handlebars, hold tension, pedal. You actually need to be able to coordinate a whole pile of muscles to do things at the same time. So a lot of the training, once again, where I've mentioned the functional side of training, being able to train in that functional manner helps develop that coordination. So you're not just strengthening an individual muscle group, you're working on its ability to be able to work with the muscles around it, which provides you better coordination. Doing some of the exercises in an unstable environment increases your balance, which is great once again for your riding or just general day-to-day life. Less chance of you falling over, less chance of you slipping over if you tread on something slippery. If you do fall over, more chance of you being coordinated enough to land well rather than just crashing down. So huge amount of benefit in developing your coordination and your balance as well. Now, the final aspect we're going to talk about is flexibility. Now, flexibility is a problem for a lot of people. A lot of injuries happen because muscles are tight, people overtrain, people move their body in a direction where their muscle doesn't really want to go because they have a limited range of movement. So really, really common way to get injuries. And the best way to protect yourself against this and to keep your body functioning as well as it can and keep the muscles working optimally is to keep a high range of flexibility. So there's a range of exercises, once again, that you can do to improve your flexibility. In a lot of cases, this comes down to stretching. So we've got some simple routines that we'll put up for stretching, and this can be as complex as you need. And you can start with just generic basic stretch routines that keeps all your muscles moving. If you've got injuries and so forth, that's where physiotherapists really come in to be able to provide routines that work on the very specific areas that you've got problems with. The other alternative is something like yoga. Yoga's really got a big focus on flexibility, and it's a really great thing to add into your programs to make sure you're flexible. Most of the people in this group are going to be guys, and guys are notoriously bad at stretching and notoriously inflexible. It's definitely one of my problems and something that I am devoting more time to again. I go through patches where I stretch a lot and I get really flexible, and then I don't, and then I start get stiffer and I start getting injuries and sore bits. So yeah, it is something that you really need to focus on. So where do you go to from here? The idea of this video was to provide a bit of a concept of the different areas of fitness. So what you want to do when you're looking at a program is see if it provides each of these aspects for you. So a lot of the advice you'll get is, okay, if you're going to do a training program, you should do some bench press and you should do some squats and you should do something else. So what you really need to do is look at it in terms of these fitness items that I've mentioned and see how it works that, right? Is it functional? Is it using multiple aspects of the body, multiple muscle groups? Is it improving your strength? Is it improving your balance? Is it improving your coordination? There's a whole pile of things that you can put together. So what you're looking for is a reasonably balanced routine. And like I said, we'll put up some exercises, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, just to give you an idea of the sort of things that we would do in each of these aspects. But that's what you kind of want to evaluate it against. And it doesn't need to be bike specific. You don't need to be going, I need to do this sort of exercise because it will make me stronger on the handlebars. What you need to be doing is making your body balanced, improve your overall athleticism, and get to the stage where everything works really well. So a more generic program is good to start. Then when you get to that point, that's when you might start doing a bit more specific. And we'll make a couple more videos explaining the way you would evaluate some of that and how you would look at doing it. But to start with, for most of you, get out there, find some more generic routines that are going to work your whole body, fit in with stuff that you like to do, and make use of the equipment you've got access to. Great way to get started. If you've got any questions, always feel free to post up in the We Ride Mountain Bikes group. Happy to answer as much as we can. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this was really helpful, and we'll either see you back in the gym or out on the trails soon.